Agent Academy. We are having a discussion today around how do we sell more homes now. That's what we need. That's what the industry is looking for. That's the conversation in every office. There's little inventory. Few people are coming to market. We're having to dig off market. And how do we do it? So what would be the steps an agent should take to just get a home sold right now and in today's environment? So I want to introduce you really quickly to two people you very well may know. Nikki Miller, who runs an amazing organization selling hundreds of houses in just a couple years of existence. Okay. And so she has this incredible view into really exactly what's working, and not just in a singular market, but across the country. And then Brian Danny, who is actually a part of Beer Home Team. And just to put it really bluntly, my own livelihood depends on Brian showing up tomorrow and can he get a home sold? So what are we doing to get a home sold right now? And by the way, this guy has done over $100 million in a single year in his personal production. So we're talking to two of the best in the game. Let's jump into it. And what are you guys seeing? What are you doing? What's working right now? I'll just start with you, Brian, really quickly. You walk into the office tomorrow. The beauty of this is there's the theory of like, what would you tell an agent to do? But literally, what are you going to do?
Yeah, where I found success in the last month and a half, especially with the low inventory. And I'm going to get into the tactical stuff. I'll mention stuff about like prospecting and who I'm obsessing over, all of that. But the one thing that I'm focusing on as far as finding more opportunity is stuff that is currently pending, stuff that is currently contingent, because no one ever thinks that there's an opportunity there. And when there's little inventory and buyers are jumping into higher bids, higher terms than what they anticipated because of where the market is trending, there is fallout. And a lot of the backup offers that I'm getting accepted right now are coming in the backup offer position. And we don't approach those. Those are off market. Those are opportunities that we forget about. And we need to get that information from the agent and find out when contingencies are due so we can really dive in and press hold how to position ourselves to take over first position of those deals. And a majority of the deals that I'm negotiating right now personally are coming in backup position. Stuff I didn't even frankly know about. And I found out we were late to the game, but we still were able to get in that second position, which then catapulted us into an escrow.
And I see you nodding your head, Nikki. So I guess what Brian's suggesting is go get those backup offers in place, because you get to play in a space that most other people have already forgotten about. You're nodding your head. Are you seeing the same thing?
I mean, I think that we should always be doing that in a low inventory market, right? Like our job at that point is not only to prospect for deals, it's to prospect for agents who have deals already, right? Like we need to be having conversations and making relationships. If we're on the buy side with listing agents, is to say, hey, I want to be in first position. I want to have a relationship with you. Keep me posted on how this is going. And by the way, they're not going to remember to do that. So you're going to have to set up an auto drip to just keep checking in with them. How's this escrow going? Have you hit any hiccups? How is everything going? Did something happen with their financing, which we're seeing all the time, right? Is something going sideways that my person can be first in line? And you should be doing that with multiple properties at a time that fit your buyer's needs.
Yeah. Dan, I want to jump. One other thing that I realized that most of us are doing, which is a big mistake, in addition to everything that Nikki just said, is we get very emotional as agents, incredibly emotional. And because there's so little inventory, we take it personal when we don't get a deal. And guess what? When you do that, it will backfire. We will run into the same people. It's a small community. And earlier in my career, listen, I was the first to admit old Brian of years ago would just take personal offense to things. But I've learned that we have to be careful. In fact, how you behave in receiving the feedback you didn't get something accepted can actually hurt you, and also can progress you. It can move you forward, whether it's a backup opportunity in this one or the next that might be coming soon that agent has. So you have to be really careful on how you're responding, how you're behaving when sometimes we don't get the news we want.
Also, like, here's the deal, guys. Here's what I tell all of our agents. You're the flight attendant of the transaction all the time. I don't know about you guys. I'm not a great flyer. And whenever there's some turbulence, the first person I'm looking at is the flight attendant. Can you guys imagine if there was turbulence on the plane and the flight attendant starts to freak out? Everybody's going to freak out, right? So as the agent in the transaction, you need to be the flight attendant. If you call your buyer and you're like, oh man, this agent sucks and you didn't get the deal and this is garbage. Or if you call them and say, hey, this is a really normal process of making offers. We're not going to get everyone. This is how we might improve the next time. I'm going to keep my eye on this one for you. And let's make sure that we keep looking and maybe move a little faster next time, or next time we're going to come in a little bit more aggressive, or whatever it looks like, right? But you have to remember, you're the flight attendant of that transaction. If you remain calm, everybody remains calm. If you freak out, everybody freaks out. They're watching you to see how they should be behaving.
Love that. So we've got a little mindset there, but then also some tactics, which is interesting because those two things really are like, without that mindset, you don't even have the ability to identify the strategy or the tactic. But just like digesting everything that you just said, yeah. So I think nationally, if I'm not mistaken, Nikki, I think you probably know better than me. So if I misspeak, just say so. I think around 25 or 25%. I'm not sure what the number is, but around in that ballpark of contracts fall out nationally, meaning, only about 70, 75, 80-ish% of ratified contracts actually close.
That's about what we see in our organization, and we're in 25 states, 125 locations in those states. So we're a little bit higher than that. I would argue, because our people are a little bit better trained, but
I'd agree.
yeah, but that's, I would say, based off what we see, probably about the average. But here, I'll give you a great tactic that we focus on with our agents all the time, but is especially important right now. And it's what I call, this is what happens next. Like, this is so often missed inside real estate. And I don't know about you guys, but if I have a great business conversation, or let's go back, like you're single and you have a great date with somebody, you wouldn't leave that date without saying something to the effect of like, I'd like to see you again. Let's do this again, right? But if you guys get to the end of the date and you're like, hey, this was great and you're great and I really enjoyed this. Okay, bye, right? Well, the person's going to leave that feeling like, what? Well, do they not want to go out with me again? Or what do we do next? And we do this so often with our buyers and sellers. We'll have a great appointment with a buyer, or we have a great interaction at an open house, or however it is that you're meeting them. And then we don't tell them, okay, now that we've had a great conversation, I'm clearly going to be your agent. This is what happens next. We're going to meet on Tuesday at 4. By the way, in between now and Tuesday at 4, you're going to want to get pre-approved so we can have a higher level conversation. That takes about 20 minutes total. Brian, do you think that you have 20 minutes between now and Tuesday and at 4? They're going to say, of course, yes. And then we get to the appointment. We go through the buyer's needs. We go through a buyer analysis and we say, okay, this is what you're looking for. Now I'm clear. And then we say, okay, well, I'm going to send you some properties. You just let me know what you like. That's what most agents do. And that's garbage. That means that they're going to get lost in the ether, because right now, especially when the market is changing how it is, when there's so much volatility in the media and in the economy, if you don't give them this is what happens next, they're just going to get stuck and they're going to stay where they are and they're not going to move forward, because they're going to get in their head about it and their friends are going to tell them they're crazy for trying to buy a house or whatever it is, right? And so you have to say, okay, now that we know your criteria, I'm going to send you properties that fit that. It'll take you about 20 to 30 minutes to go through those properties and tell me which ones you like the best and which ones you want to see. Let's plan to see them on Saturday at 10 a.m. Do you have 20 to 30 minutes between now and Saturday at 10 a.m. to decide which one of these you like? Like, this is what happens next. This is what happens next. Yeah. This is what happens next.
Yeah.
On the, this is very much connected to, we just did a webinar on direct response marketing. And one of the tenets of direct response marketing is give clear instructions.
Yep.
Too much marketing, too many presentations, even buyer and listing presentations. They end in that kind of like, you're right, that really great date that was just sort of like, all right, well,
bye.
Here I am. They kind of just end like that. And specifically after a buyer showing. I mean, I think you nailed like the most likely use case 100%. Like that's the most common place you're going to find that. And going back to what that direct response, give clear instructions element is, any sale, any listing, any presentation of any kind, the close, the offer, you must give clear instructions at a second or third grade level, literally to the point of what happens next is, we do this, you step through the door, you hold the pen, you sign this paper. Like, I'm being a little bit demonstrative, right? And just exaggerating, but I would encourage you, in fact, like when you're practicing and when you're trying to understand an idea, when you're role playing, do it in an over the top kind of ridiculous manner, almost like I just did, because what's going to happen in real life and in practice is it'll smooth out to a far lesser degree of that. So if when you're practicing, you think that giving clear instructions is sort of like, all right, Nikki, well, now you should sign here, then in real life, that'll be even far more muted. Okay. So if you practice with here, real life will mute it down to probably where it should be. So 2 really, really good things there. And give those clear instructions, use bold language. It's amazing how you just use 2 of the prime, whether you meant to or not, direct response principles. And then Brian reminding us, if you make 4 backup offers, you're probably going to get a free deal. Like you're going to be at a coffee shop just enjoying the day. You're going to be at a dinner party. You're going to wake up one Saturday morning. You're going to be in a workout, and all of a sudden you're going to get an email saying, hey, you're in escrow, because you're just constantly peppering in those. For every 4 backup offers, statistically, you should get 1 that's going to end up being a deal. All right. So with that, what is, really thinking about the marketplace right now, it's still hard. Like, so, right. Like let's just face the facts that there's low inventory markets. I think that this market is in many ways getting mislabeled as a low inventory market, because a low inventory market is one in which there's just not a lot available. That was 2021. But inventory is what homes that come on the market and then remain on the market. So 2021 was a low inventory market, but it was a high transaction count market. This one is just nothing's coming available market. So how are we digging for off-market properties, off-market opportunities? Whoever wants to jump in, how are you helping clients identify what they would not see if they just simply browsed online?
Yeah, I mean, something that I've been doing heavy since the beginning of COVID, and I have not let go. It's leaning into the agent relationships, the community that I mentioned. We all prospect in the morning, or at least we should. And we do our follow-up in the morning. I actually have an intentional half an hour where I'm sending videos to agents in my community, people I might have done deals with, and maybe I have not done deals with, and just asking, hey, Dan, how you doing? What's going on in your world? I love closing that deal with you about a year ago on 123 Main Street. How do we do more business together? I mean, my year would be so much better if we had an opportunity to work together. And I'm sending this video to Dan, and then I'm sending a video to Nikki saying the same thing. And sometimes I might have something they want. Sometimes they give me something that, I don't necessarily have a buyer for. Doesn't matter. I might, but because I'm sending these videos out so frequently, I'm matching other agents with agents, helping each other out and just paying it forward. And naturally what's happening is I'm becoming the person of resource. So anytime they have something coming soon, they go to me. So when I'm buyer consultations, I'm actually walking them through off markets I can rattle off. I am using this to win deals with agents and building that relationship when I'm writing offers, because they know I'm just paying it forward constantly. This is something that is just massive. And I am very intentional and purposeful when I'm doing that daily. And sometimes it's the deals I never won. We didn't get to have a chance to connect on this deal, and let's just find a way to work together. And I'm just building those relationships. That's where I've spent some time in my really protected 4-hour window of when I want to be productive in the day.
And Nikki, I would consider you a negotiations expert. So with so few opportunities out there, I think another piece of how do we sell another home today is, well, the way I sell a home today is I actually get my offer accepted, or I do the most with what I do have. Because the reality is, like, most of us do have buyers we're working with. The issue is, can we get them into the one house that came available, or can we find those off-market properties, of course, right? So Nikki, if you put your negotiation hat on, where are agents, where's the opportunity, or where are we watching deals fall apart that shouldn't have, whether it be right in inspections with appraisals and so on, or in just getting those offers accepted? What would the negotiator you say has some low-hanging fruit that agents could grab onto?
Yeah, so I'll start on the getting offer accepted, because that's a different skill set than keeping it accepted, right? So getting offer accepted, this script is pretty easy, and really what this comes back to is you just have to ask the right. I mean, really, all negotiation just comes back to asking the right questions. But this is going to come back to asking the right questions in order for you to present whatever it is that the seller is looking for. for, right? So first and foremost, it kind of goes back to what Brian was saying, which is like, let me build some rapport with whomever the listing agent is first. Like I'm going to start there, so that they're willing to tell me what I need to know in order to write them the best offer. And then I usually will go through a series of questions that I'll say, hey, Brian, do you have 5 minutes for me to just walk you through some questions so I can make sure I write you the cleanest offer possible? What does every listing agent say to that? Yeah, like I would really love if you made less work for me. And then I'm going to ask him, okay, what is it specifically that your seller is looking for? Everybody knows, like there's something that they have in mind about what it is that they're looking for. Okay, is there anything else that you can think of that would make this a really outstanding offer for them? Is it price? Is it terms? Is it a mixture of all of those things? What is it? What do you want? It's really what I'm asking. And then I'm going to go back to my buyer and say, hey, this is what it's going to have to look like in order for you to get this house. I tell every buyer, and in the script that we give to every single agent that we're working with is, hey, my job is not to get you the house. My job is to tell you what you need to do to get the house. And your job is to make the decision whether you're willing to do that or not. Right? That's the conversation. Ultimately, they get to decide. And then once we get the offer accepted, then we get into negotiations. And where I see most people get hung up here is one, going back to what Brian said earlier, which is that the agents get emotional, right? Which makes them typically combative. This isn't about you winning or about the agent on the other side winning. You're both there to facilitate your clients who both want to win by getting this escrow to the finish line, right? That's the job. So ultimately, you need to remember that you're really on the same team as that person and build a relationship around that. So remain the flight attendant, do not get emotional, don't freak out. And then typically what you're gonna have to do both for the agent on the other side as well as for your buyer or seller, whatever side you're on, is make the terms smaller. And here's what I mean by that. I just had a conversation with one of my agents this morning who said they're in a state where the contingencies don't actively get removed, they expire, right? So once they expire, like you're in it, and if you don't get an extension, you'll lose your deposit. And so they said, this agent, it's going to expire on Friday. We won't have the information that we need, and we're just asking for an extension until Tuesday, right? And this agent is digging their heels in the sand, saying that's not what's best for their seller. And I said, okay, totally understand that. So what it seems like, this is exactly how I would phrase it. This is how I directed them to do it so that they went and won. I said, I would call the agent and I would say, it seems like you're trying to get the best outcome for your seller. Am I hearing that right? And of course they're going to say what? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Is the best outcome for your seller still to get the home sold at the price that we agreed upon? Yeah, that is still the best outcome. Amazing. Well, then would it make sense to you to go back on the market and take much longer, and also, by the way, probably get a different price than to just wait an additional 3 days? Are you willing to give up the outcome that you're looking for over a 3-day extension? And then you have to do the hardest part, which is you have to shut up, right? In other words, you have to just listen and let them think about it. But the point in all of that is we're not fighting over getting the home sold. We're fighting over a 3-day extension. So we just have to make it smaller and help them realize that the consequence of this decision is going back on the market, which does not facilitate the goal that they originally set out for.
Love that.
I don't know if that answers that.
It does. No, I mean it's. Go ahead, Brian. What do you hear when you're saying that? I mean, that's the beauty of this thing is you wake up tomorrow and you're saying, before you even go to bed today, you're saying, how do I sell a house right now? So
yeah. Some of them wouldn't even talk about that. I'm actually fixating on right now. I'm seeing the value is having a listing, and actually, if we have a listing, running an open house, you running your own open house, the amount of business that is pouring into these things. In fact, you know how many text messages I get a day for people asking to hold my open house for me? Open houses are gold right now. Buyers are in there, and it's about understanding how you can provide them with an elevator pitch in the window you have in the home, and fixating and role playing that elevator pitch every single day. So when you get your window in that open house, you can nail them, you can show your value, and figuring out how to meet them where they're at with whatever pain they're going through. So, and a lot of it is no inventory, doing the same thing everybody else is doing in the open house and competition, all that stuff, and really leaning in there. But open house cannot be ignored. In fact, I've pulled so many buyers in the last 2 months just from recommitting to that and really staying on the course with open houses. The buyers are pouring in right now. They need help, and it's just you showing them how to get there.
Let's I'm thinking about like your with all the messaging that you do and that your team does, Nikki, is what's like that text message or that phone call or that handwritten letter that you'd make a pretty hard bet, whoever's watching, listening, hasn't yet done, hasn't revisited, like, what would you say? Hey, go send this off to 10 people a day or to your database, whatever it might be, you're going to see response.
Have you given up? Question mark.
Okay, take us through that.
My favorite one. Like, everybody use it. Tell me how it goes. I've never had somebody not respond. And here's how you use it. If you have a group of cold leads, which I guarantee everybody has in their database right now, somebody who was thinking about buying, who got frustrated or overwhelmed or whatever it was, or thinking about selling, got frustrated, overwhelmed, whatever it was, like, you all have some cold leads in there. And then you send them a text message or an email. It has to be a text or email, and you are only allowed to ask one question, and that's it. So if it's an email, you just put in the subject line, no message in the body. And if it's a text, you just say, have you given up? Question mark. You're going to get one of 3 responses. Response number 1 is they're going to tell you to F off. Response number 2 is they're going to say, you know what, I'm so sorry. I haven't given up. I've actually just been super overwhelmed, super swamped, work, whatever the reason is, right? Option number 3 is they're going to say, yeah, we actually put a pause on our home search or on our sale or whatever it was. But this gets them re-engaged. And the most frustrating part about cold leads for most agents is they just don't understand why the person went cold. And this always wakes people up and gets them to respond, right? And so even if the response is, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Have I given up? I'll say, oh my gosh, so sorry. The rest of my message didn't come through. My question was, have you given up your home search? Or have you given up looking to sell your home? Or have you given up moving to your dream home and wherever by way of selling your home? Whatever it is, like, you know what the conversations were before, but this is just a way to wake them up. And when you get that message, nobody ever has not responded to me. If somebody's gone cold, I have a 100% response rate. In fact, I'll send it to agents who we've had conversations with, and they're not showing up to our accountability meetings or whatever. They know when I send them a have you given up question, I'm just asking if you've given up on hitting your real estate goals. So it applies really to everything, but I love to use it in my real estate business. Our group uses it all the time.
So you're saying that people can expect a near 100% response rate to a text message. Could it be also a Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, either one.
Okay, so Facebook Messenger, text message. I'll ask you about email in just a moment because I think that could be different. Maybe not. Maybe I'm overthinking. Just simply saying, have you given up? And at that response rate, would you say blast everyone in your phone or send 5 off a day? How do you handle that?
I say it's got to actually be cold. Like, don't be weird. If you haven't heard from them in 3 days, that's not a cold lead. I'm talking about someone you had conversation with who, like, actually went cold. You guys were talking day to day. You tried to do other follow-ups. Nothing's worked. True cold lead. So I wouldn't mass do it because you're going to invariably get somebody in there who shouldn't be. And I would do it in a way that you can easily communicate back and forth. So text would be great. I wouldn't mass do it. I would do 5, 10 a day, something like that. Depends on how big your database is. But to answer your email question, Dan, yeah, we get my response rate on email is 100% on this one. Some of our agents are a little bit lower. It typically depends on how you've been communicating previously. So if you guys were previously communicating over phone only or most exclusively, I would send it via text. If you were previously communicating over email, send it via email. It just depends.
Love that. And Brian, what I'm thinking about when I'm hearing her hear that, hearing her say that, I'll tell you a funny story in just a minute. But we have our ponds. Okay, so people have their fishing ponds, and people most of us that have like databases that we've been keeping for some time, we have those ponds of people that haven't responded in a long time that we couldn't get a hold of. So if you, Brian, were to send off an email, for example, or a text message through the CRM to a batch of them, have you given up? And you get that response right going. So it's literally just that. So Nikki, just to make sure I have the system right, it's have you given up? That's the text message. And when they respond, you say, oh, sorry, I didn't complete the sentence. I meant, have you given up on your home search, or have you given up on finding a home in La Jolla, or on the home sale, or on listing, or on moving to Ohio, or whatever it is that you had a note on them for.
It just depends on how they respond, right? Like, sometimes they know what you're talking about. So that part just depends.
Yeah, and those of us with inside sales teams, I mean, again, if the inside sales team were to send off an email, say to a batch of 100 with that message, and then, so who does your inside sales team call that day? Well, maybe it's the people that all opened that email, the ones that responded to that email, maybe you have a little something they can click in there. And so that's just a way of kind of getting your database to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm responding. That's awesome. Brian, you show up, whether it be well, actually, let me pivot a little bit. You lead role play on a weekly basis, on a daily, you lead multiple role plays a week. What are agents struggling with right now? That's just a fundamental, like, make this shift in your dialogue, and you'll just do more business. Period.
Some of it is what we've already discussed. One, we actually role play pretending like we're talking to a kindergartner, believe it or not. We role play that to the T, breaking it down as if someone doesn't know what the word escrow means, if someone doesn't know what the word blueprint, we break it down. We really dummy it down so we can internalize how we can articulate this to whomever it is that we're speaking to. Today, we actually had a pretty amazing role play. What we did was, there was something that was said in the sales meeting the other day, and I'm not going to take credit for it. It was actually Freddie who said something, someone on our team that's helping us, and really brilliant. He goes, sometimes we think we have permission to give value to somebody. But we don't actually have permission to do so. We need to get their buy-in before we can give them the value. So what we focused on in role play today was actually just identifying who it is we're speaking to. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Are they a first-time home buyer? Whoever it is. What is their pain? And we discover pain by asking questions, going deep, not going wide, but going deep and leaning in. And then we can pivot to really figuring out how we can make it different for them, how we can be different, how we can add value, and then hitting them with results, which happens to be a proven process, right? So we're role-playing this today, and most people were jumping around to results and value before they understood the pain. And I literally put postcards down on the floor, and we actually stopped everybody, and they transitioned and moved to the next postcard when they thought they were at that part of the conversation. And it was so funny, just the realization that people had where they thought they can go somewhere when they didn't discover. And we just stopped in the moment. And it was something that we focused on today, and we've continued to do that. And when we're doing it, it's us trying to break down the elevator pitch. That's what we're trying to work on. So
I have an idea. If you're listening right now and you'd like Brian to lead a role play, okay, if you want to join Brian in a role play that he leads, just say so in the comments, and we'll make sure that you're invited to such. Brian, is it okay if I volunteer that?
Yeah.
Normally those things happen in like reverse order.
Yeah. And there's also one every Friday online that they can jump into that I'm already leading with everyone.
That's the beauty of doing this live. Yeah. So, Brian, would you mind doing this thing that I've already promised everyone that you'll do for them, please? Yeah, great. Thank you. Let us know in the comments, and we'll invite you into that. Brian leads a great role play. He'll take you through that. So with that, guys, I hope that this has been useful to you. Watch it back if you joined us late, because early on there was also a strategy that statistically will get you contracts that most other agents can't even see, don't know. Like it's actually interesting. They're hiding in plain sight, but you'll be the only one pursuing the strategy. So if you caught us in the middle or toward the tail end of this, turn it back to the beginning. And I want to just reemphasize this. This is a renewed commitment. This group, which started off as just a little group from a little course that we had done at Agent Academy, we've just said, hey, we've funneled everyone from everything that we've ever done at Agent Academy into this group now. We have 2,100 people in here, and you're going to see John and I consistently coming in alongside leaders like Nikki, like Brian. Like, this is just going to be our value place. This is where we're going to just dump, just like this. No pitch, no nothing to sell, no course, just simply adding value on a regular basis. Of course, from time to time, we'll also give you other opportunities as well. But I would turn on your alerts for this one and put May 5th on your calendar, because May 5th, we are going to have a day long of headliners going 30 minutes from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. with power talk, like the kind of talks we would normally spend, hundreds of dollars on airfare, hundreds more on hotel, maybe $1,000 on ticket to attend that type of conference. We're just going to do it for free. We're going to do it right here. We're going to just be helping you sell more homes right now, because we know that's what you need. That's what the industry needs. That's what that whole day will focus on. So if you want to block off May 5th on your calendar, we're going to go 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. alongside John Cheplack and people of this caliber that are going to just knock your socks off with exactly what to do right now in this market. And this is awesome. Nikki, Brian, thanks for your generosity. Thanks for contributing with those awesome just strategies, tactics, specifics on what to do. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.